Hello everyone, I'm Relentlessly. We are back again talking about how the video game industry is trying to squash the Stop Killing Games movement by stating that you don't actually own your games. That's right, because when you get a digital game, no matter what platform you get it on, you're only renting a license to use the game. You do not own the game unless you buy it physically, and even nowadays, the full game isn't even on the physical disc. That sort of thing ended with the PS3 era. And even on Steam, they've told you that you are simply renting a license when you are purchasing a product on Steam. However, a platform like Steam has built up trust in and confidence in its user base that people are more willing to spend their money on Steam over other platforms like the Xbox Marketplace or the PlayStation Network or even the Nintendo eShop. Now, what this is, because I haven't yet to cover it, it's been kind of like I wanted to cover it, but I wasn't really sure how to cover it. I know that Pirate Software got involved with this and basically was trying to kill this movement. What this basically is that a person was creating a signature petition to basically say that games should be left in a functional state and you should be able to have all your digital items if the developer stops working on the game. It's something to that. I'm not fully sure, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. To my understanding, that's what it sounds like it is. And someone like Pirate Software, who claimed that they were for the consumer, downplayed what the actual movement was, and kind of found out that he's working on a bunch of live service games, or at least was until he left his studio, Off-Brand Games. So we're just going to get into this article here from That Park Place. It says the quote-unquote Stop Killing Games movement just hit 1 million signatures in the European Union, triggering a mandatory response from lawmakers and setting the stage for a public hearing in the European Parliament. But as the campaign, spearheaded by YouTuber Ross Scott, gains global momentum, the video game industry has fired back. In a newly published rebuttal, Video Games Europe, a lobbying organization representing nearly every major AAA game publisher, has come out firmly against the campaign's demands. Their stance is blunt. Players do not actually own the games they buy, and publishers must retain the freedom to shut games down when they see fit. Quote, all video games with a digital or physical games or copies are licensed. At least nowadays, physical copies are licensed, except for Nintendo Switch, by the way, the first Nintendo Switch. Or for the Switch 2, it's only Nintendo's IPs. Most other games are game keycards, with the exception of Cyberpunk 2077 for the Switch 2. The group states in their official response, as is the case with virtually all digital works, when consumers purchase online games, regardless of the country of sale, what they acquire is a personal license to access and play the copy of the game they have purchased in accordance with the game's terms of service. So if purchasing a game is not owning, then piracy is not stealing. That's it. The consumer does not acquire ownership of that game. These clear intellectual property rights underpin the entire market and enable the strong investment that the industry has seen for decades. There is no legal uncertainty about the status quo of video games. According to the group, since consumers purchase a personal license, quote-unquote, to access a game and not the game itself, that license can be revoked under the game's terms of service, including when online functionality is shut down. That goes for everything that's happened before with games like The Crew, where Ubisoft was yanking the game off of people's libraries when they shut the servers down. The quote-unquote Stop Killing Games petition, launched in 2024, demands that developers be required to preserve games in a playable form even after official servers are shut down. Supporters argue that permanently removing access to purchased titles, especially those that could function offline, is a violation of consumer rights. Now, it's definitely a violation in places like Brazil, as Brazil is currently suing Nintendo for breaking people's consoles. Video Games Europe disagrees, calling such expectations disproportionate and warning of severe consequences for the industry if they are enforced by law. Now, typically, I don't really care much for government overreach, but obviously in the EU, if you make a petition and it gets over 1 million signatures, they are required to look at it. and make a decision if it's made legal or not. Imposing a legal obligation to continue server support indefinitely or to develop online video games in a specific technical manner that will allow permanent use will raise the cost and risks of developing such games, they said. Yes, because all you guys just balloon all your budgets and can't make a video game that isn't so high in budget for some reason. Quote, it will have a chilling effect on game design and act as a disincentive to making such games available in Europe. It is far from a trivial modification or a simple addition to the game dev. They could simply just allow people to create peer-to-peer servers. You know, that they've done that with games in the past, like Battlefield. The group argues that mandating private servers or offline modes would require significant engineering and architectural challenges, especially in games where online features are tightly integrated into the core gameplay. Quote, creating a private server compatible version will be a prohibitive cost in some cases years or decades after the game's initial release, when only a small audience remains, they claimed. The document also raises concerns about player safety, content moderation, and potential legal risks if companies are forced to release game code or enable community-run servers. I mean, again, Battlefield has done this in the past. I believe Battlefield 4 is currently run by community-run servers. Quote, requiring games to run on private servers would result in the inability for games companies to continue to protect players from illegal or harmful content or conduct, and most of the games that are live service are mature rated, outside of maybe like Fortnite. They warn, releasing game code could expose games companies and consumers to bad actors, malware, data breaches, and DDoS attacks. You even had apparently PewDiePie being all about the amazing support and being in support of Stop Killing Games. They also argue that these changes would undermine intellectual property rights, damage brands, and open the door to unauthorized versions of games competing with official releases. Mandating games companies to keep their online games operable post-official support would undermine their rights and autonomy in deciding how their intellectual property is utilized. Well, you don't actually know if this will happen. You're just assuming that this will happen. The document states, who's behind the pushback? This opposition to Stop Killing Games is coming from the top of the industry. Video Games Europe's board includes representatives from Sony Interactive Entertainment, Microsoft, Nintendo of Europe, so of course the big three, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, EA, Take-Two and Interactive, Bandai Namco, Epic Games, Square Enix. I mean, Square Enix has had 14 being gone online for so long at this point, and people do private servers with Final Fantasy XI currently, and seems to be perfectly fine. Warner Brothers Games, they just recently shut down Multiverses, so I don't know how that would even affect anything. Embracer Group, Level Infinite or Tencent, and regional lobby groups like Yuki, Cell, and Game. Virtually all these companies operate live service games and may have engaged in delisting titles or removing online access, making their vested interest in preserving the status quo obvious. Yeah, Ubisoft with The Crew. I think Nintendo probably shut down something like Splatoon probably. Because the petition passed 1 million verified signatures in the EU, the European Commission must now formally respond. Ross Scott will be invited to speak at a public hearing in the European Parliament, a rare opportunity for gamers to directly challenge the industry's dominance over digital access. In the meantime, Scott has warned that some signatures may not meet the EU's validation standards and is encouraging supporters to continue signing at StopKillingGames.com to build a buffer. While publishers claim they support game preservation efforts, they don't. They never will, especially not Nintendo. Whew. Nintendo is the worst at preserving games. They've literally been taking down ROM sites and emulation sites, even though they don't sell the products that are available on said ROM and emulation sites. In museums and exhibitions, they draw a hard line when it comes to consumer access. As the battle between preservationists and publishers heats up, one thing is clear: this fight is no longer just about games, it's about who really owns digital content in the modern age. As I said already, if buying is not owning, then piracy is not theft. I'm sorry, it just isn't. You even have the Minecraft creator Notch responding to Pirate Software's criticism of the Stop Killing Games campaign, where he says if buying a game isn't a purchase, then pirating it isn't theft. You can see it right here. Just got back from a game to gaming after a brief break. Why is there a Nepo Baby doubling down over there? The Nepo Baby being Pirate Software. Guy says, Minecraft creator Notch has made fun of Pirate Software for the streamer's ridiculous stance against the Stop Killing Games initiative, and ever since this happened, he's lost over 100,000 subscribers. He's been bleeding subs ever since. Just verifying that, yes, that is what I was talking about. If buying a game is not a purchase, then pirating them is not theft. Yeah, that's a real gamer right there. It's true. If I don't own the game that I am purchasing, then stealing your game by piracy is not stealing your game. Like I said, especially with Nintendo, who have been taking down ROM and emulation sites filled with games that they no longer sell to you for purchase. They make you pay an online subscription to play older games. And I think that's absolute bullcrap. And I'm pretty sure that people would absolutely purchase Nintendo games if they were simply available for purchase like they were on the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U eShops via the Virtual Console. But it seems to be raging on. This, hopefully something great comes out of this when it gets talked about in the European Union, whenever that ever happens. So just want to bring this to your guys' attention. Thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. If you made it this far, smash the like button and comment below what you feel about all of this. Do you feel that games that are supposed to be online should always be preserved, or do you think that they should be gotten rid of after such and such time? Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe for more content, hit the bell for notifications, set the bell to all, that way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video or go live on this channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.